Hello everyone, my name is Jean and today we are building another habitat in my old zoo, which I'm currently renovating. This time we are building a leopard habitat, and that's actually the first time that I am switching an animal that was previously in the zoo for another one which wasn't. So instead of the tiger habitat, which it was before, we will build a leopard habitat. So let's get straight into it. So, as you can see, I wanted to keep the overpass over the habitat, and I just, at first, I did everything with rocks just so the leopards couldn't get out. You will see later that I also did everything with rocks, but I made it different. And the first thing I did for the actual overpass was making sure that everything aligns, because I built this the first time I heard somewhere or saw somewhere on YouTube that this was possible, and I wasn't really good at it, so it didn't fit quite how it could. It wasn't tied together as much as it could be, so yeah, the first thing I did, fixing that and doing rocks everywhere. And this was actually after I surrounded the whole habitat with rocks. This was actually where I had some sort of crisis, because then I didn't know what to do. I didn't like what I did, because I mean it's kind of boring just having rocks all around. So yeah, that's why I had a little bit of no inspiration moment kind of going on. And yeah, as you can see me now, at first I wanted to have snow on the one side, so there would that it would be like the more higher up area, and on the other side I wanted to have more grass and more greenery. But after I came back, I decided that's not what I want anymore. And I also didn't want all the rocks looking like some sort of, I don't know, just some clutter of rocks with no real reason or rhyme behind it. So I deleted it and made a wall, because I had the idea that the leopards could jump on the rocks that peek out of this rock wall, and I really liked this idea. Unfortunately, the leopards didn't. You can see me here, you can see the beginning and the end of me struggling to make it that the leopards would actually jump there. It was such a hard time. I kid you not when I say 1/4 of this whole habitat building was only this issue. And to make matters even worse, I not only decided that I wanted to have this wall, I also, you will see it later, decided that I don't want the glass on the overpass that would lead the leopards up there. I wanted the leopards to jump up there, so the same system, but so they can go over the overpass to the other side of the habitat. So I don't know why I did this to myself, but I did it, and I mean, it looks good in the end, but this was such a struggle, and I don't even know why. I mean, I had figured it out somehow, but I don't know exactly what I did wrong and when I did something right, so this was extra frustrating, because then I couldn't even be like, okay, that works, I know why it works, and I can replicate that. That wasn't the case. I had to figure it out again and again and again. At some point I thought maybe they were not close enough, but that wasn't the case. And then I thought, okay, maybe they're not far, not too much, so they're too close to another. And then I put them away from each other, and that wasn't the case either. I don't know. Then I tilted the rocks, and it was a whole mess. So where you can see me struggling a bit and then putting waterfall in there and some other stuff, I would like to tell you about a funny story that I had with amur leopards. Because in my local zoo, we have leopards. And I always assumed it were amur leopards. To be honest, I don't know why I assumed that, because when I try to remember, everything the billboard said were leopards. So yeah, I don't know why I thought that, but I thought that. And then when the amur leopard came out, and I was under the impression that I had the amur leopard in my local zoo, I was so irritated because this leopard in the game looked so much more chubby than every leopard I've seen in my whole life. So that looked kind of odd to me. So I will show you some pictures of how the leopard looked that I would be able to see in my local zoo. And as you can tell, it looks kind of a little bit more slimmer in the face and everything. And yeah, I was just a little bit confused. And then I went to the website of the zoo, and now I know why this leopard doesn't look like an amur leopard. It wasn't an amur leopard. In fact, it was a Chinese leopard. So that's the reason why they didn't look alike. And yeah, and actually now I went to another zoo and they actually had amur leopards. So yeah, this looks really, really like the leopard in game. So yeah, that's just a little funny story that I thought would be kind of amusing to you. So yeah, now you can see me doing the same thing with the same struggle for the overpass. It was quite a struggle, but okay, I at the end I was able to do this, and I think it turned out pretty nice. It's still a habitat surrounded by rocks, but that's also a thing that kind of annoys me, because big cats and all apes and all monkeys, of course, they climb, and that's an issue. Not in a really bad way, but since they climb everything that is climbable in the game, and we don't have an option to toggle on non-climbable pieces, which would be so useful. I mean, we only have climbable, so every time I want to know if something is non-climbable, I type in whatever I am searching for. Most of the times it's beams. So I type in beam, and then I toggle on climbable, and then I try to memorize everything that is in the climbable category, and then I declick it so everything is shown to me again, and then I try to memorize which didn't I see before. So, and that's the way I'm doing it. I don't know any other way, but it's kind of a little bit frustrating to every time do this. And I know by now that the conservation 3D beams, I think they're called, something like that, or printed, 3D printed beams, something like that. They are not climbable, and I already used them, you will see later on, but it's just a little thing, so I didn't go overboard with it. But I just wish there were more non-climbable pieces that I could actually use. But I mean, it's so unnatural if you, for example, build I don't know, something like a house, a shelter for leopards or any type of monkeys, and you build it out of climbable pieces, and you build it so that it's on the outer edge, it's the habitat barrier, and these monkeys or cats, they will literally go on the other side of these buildings, outside of it, just by climbing, and that's not natural, not in any case, not at all. So that's a little bit frustrating, but yeah, I wished I could have done more than just those, but in the end, I also like my only stones habitat. And I also like how I made the overpass. I mean, you can see I am doing some sort of Asian temple, just so it would fit the vibe of the whole area a little bit more. And yeah, at first I just used these red beams, and then I wanted to have a circle in the middle. And yeah, there's no circle in the game, at least not with the Asian pieces. I didn't know why I didn't bother looking in any other categories, but yeah, I was able to do a circle anyway. So after I finished building this temple overpass kind of thing, I moved over to the other half of the habitat and did the stones there. And I also decided not to leave the glass panels there, but to switch them out with rocks. But this time I was smart. I did not quite the same thing. They do need to jump on one end of the path, but I built 2 passes like I did in the other one, and for one they don't have to climb at all, so it wasn't that important that they could get everywhere, but I also made sure that they could get everywhere just because I wanted them to be able to climb everywhere. But I don't know why it was so much easier just when I used this one rock instead of all the other rocks and these little rocks, so don't know if that was the issue, but yeah, I would say you enjoyed the rest of the speed build, and then we will hear each other after the speed build. Yeah, because I didn't record everything that I did. Somehow the recording got lost, or I don't know, I'm quite confused about that. But yeah, we will see each other then. So for some unknown reason, my recording just suddenly stopped, and so you didn't get to see how I built the flowers and the stones on the ground. So I'm just going to slightly walk you through that. So first I just used the tiger and the temperate rock. It's the exact same rock. And I just put them everywhere. Kind of like that, and then I did the same with this one. So, and then I looked at the plants that I could use, and I used a lot of bracken, the bramble brushes. Then I used, what did I use? So, no. I used a bit of these, but only a few times because they have a hitbox, and it was something that I was concerned if I put too much plants in there that have a hitbox, the whole habitat would be too tiny, so I stayed away from them and pretty much only did the ones that don't have a hitbox. So I did the ferns, I don't know, no, bracken. It's also kind of a fern, so it is a fern. So ferns, and then I did nettles all around, and then have I used? Where's the last one I used? This little round one. This the Azalia, however you pronounce that. So when I put a few of these, and I only did the plants where the rocks weren't, because it doesn't make any sense that the plants would go there where the rocks are. So, but that's kind of more of a loose rule than that it's something that I followed really. So, and then I typed in for conservation because I wanted to use all these little flowers, because since the leopard doesn't like so much grass in his habitat, I figured I'm just going to make my own grass, and that's how I did it. And I plastered, you could say I plastered these kind of everywhere, so kind of like that. And here one, here, and here's some, until it looked remotely like what I wanted. And then I went into the construction, and I don't know what I should search for, but these are the only ones I favored, so because I love them. And then I took the grass fronds and just filled in a little bit of the gaps. And then I also went back into the terrain and used the short grass everywhere else where you could see some grass, because it kind of looked a little bit off to me without it. And everywhere where the rocks weren't, where the rocks were, I put soil, so you couldn't see the soil, but for the leopards it's there. So yeah, and that's how I did the whole plants and stones on the ground. And after that I only placed the enrichment items and the guest education. And now I would say let's go to the cinematic shots, and I hope you enjoyed this video, even though I somehow forgot to record some of it. And yeah, I hope we see each other in the next video. Bye!